Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Astral Pets Store. Author by Ancient She. Audio novels by Novelist. Astral Pets Store. Chapter 181, Dragon Grave. Once again, the group approached the broken cave entrance, most of which had been buried behind debris. On hurried steps, Ni Chenkong entered through a gap first, followed by the other members. Even with their astrally enhanced eyesight, people found it difficult to see things clearly inside the unlit cave. What was more, there seemed to be a strange energy in the environment that hindered their senses. Ni Chenkong suddenly noticed something was off. There were pieces of broken stones on the floor, which was not surprising because the flame flood dragon could definitely have left such a mess by walking around. The problem was, the stones only covered a narrow trail rather than the entire tunnel, as if it weren't the dragon, but something smaller who walked through there. But that dragon was using this cave moments before. Could there be another monster who called the same place home? Ni Chenkong put that thought behind his mind and moved faster. Since no one was speaking, they could hear their own footsteps echoing between the walls while bearing a strong odor that suggested the unkempt lifestyle of the cave's former owner. As they walked deeper inside, the air around them slowly grew hotter, until they stopped in front of a pool of bright lava, across which lay yet another cave entrance that appeared bigger than the one they were traveling in. Su Ping frowned as he realized that the area no longer looked as he recalled. Inside the dragon scale land, the flame blood dragon had marked the end of the cave. There should be nothing more. Perhaps the flame blood dragon had excavated a second room in its lair. It wasn't a rare thing to find new elements coming up around these sectors when the system's cultivation planes failed to predict them. With this in mind, Su Ping decided to leave this matter be. The treasure is right there. It must be. Ni Chenkong's eyes brimmed with great excitement. The lava pool should be the flame blood dragon's bathtub, which meant the second cave in the far end could be its bedroom. That was a perfect place to keep treasures. Everyone, wait here. I'll be right back. Ni Chenkong prepared to head there alone. Since the flame blood dragon was no longer there, jumping across the deadly lava should be no problem. He wanted to take the treasure as fast as possible and be done with it. I'll go with you, Captain. Just in case that something else is still hiding in the dark. Yi Chenshin suggested with a look of worry. Ni Chenkong gave him a reassuring smile. There's no need. Flame blood dragons are always solitary. They never tolerate other life forms inside their territories. I'll make it quick. The truth was, Ni Chenkong didn't want others to know about the existence of an astral spirit fruit if he did find one in the cave. If the message got out, he as the owner of the fruit would have to constantly expect danger and malevolence due to people's greed. Sure, Captain. Yi Chenshin stepped down. Be careful. I will. Chen and Old Mo exchanged a knowing look as they both realized what was going on. They had enough reasons to believe that Ni Chenkong was hiding crucial clues from them. However, they weren't going to question Ni Chenkong because being selfish was the right stance to take as a settler. On the other hand, they'd get suspicious if Ni Chenkong was way too generous. Ni Chenkong took a deep breath, walked to the edge of the pool and took a great leap. The bubbling lava beneath him sure looked dangerous, as if something were going to emerge. Luckily, this didn't happen. After a safe touchdown on the other side, Ni Chenkong quickly entered the other cave and vanished from everyone's sight. Su Ping found it strange that Ni Chenkong caught wind of some kind of valuable treasure when this place had yet to be explored by anyone. Though he didn't really care. An astral spirit fruit meant little to him anyway. His dark dragon hound suddenly sent him an alert. There was the smell of a different creature looming around. Startled, Su Ping quickly looked around the area. Boom! Something exploded on the other side of the lava pool. Precisely speaking, the explosion came straight from where Ni Chenkong disappeared into. People were already on edge since they didn't know what kind of traps were hidden in this place. They all jumped at the sudden sound. Crap, we gotta help the captain. Yi Chenshin said first. He couldn't afford to lose his Ni Chenkong because he meant a lot to him. Guo Yulan looked at Old Mo and Chen. Quick, let's go together. Chen scowled as he struggled to make a decision. Something told him that escaping was the best choice, but his conscience wouldn't let him abandon the team so soon. He ordered his earthen dragon to provide assistance. The dragon slammed a claw at the floor and created a giant stone pillar that connected the two banks of the pool like a bridge. Yi Chenshin rushed across the bridge first, while Su Ping followed him. "Captain!" Yi Chenshin called as loudly as he could, but didn't get any response. The cave went back to complete silence after the previous explosion, and it only stressed everyone out. Yi Chenshin wanted to go to Ni Chenkong's rescue as soon as he could, though his sanity got the better of him. He patiently waited for the others to reach him, before sending his pet away to scout ahead. They saw the depth of the second cave glowing slightly. It was a faint, blue light that was enough to help them see their surroundings. "Captain!" Yi Chenshin called again while slowly entering the cave. After moving across the entrance, they saw that the light source was a blue tree growing at the center of the wide cave. All the tree leaves were pulsing with a gentle, blue hue, accompanied by a single blue fruit amidst the leaves that looked rather lovely. Su Ping immediately confirmed that the fruit was an astral spirit fruit. During his dragon-scale land exploration, this tree used to be located at a dangerous spot beside the lava pool. Oh crap! Su Ping suddenly had a bad feeling. The tree cannot move by itself. Either the flame blood dragon carried it here, or... "Captain!" Guo Yulan called and began rushing to one side of the cave, where Ni Chenkong had collapsed on the floor. He had a large puncture on his chest that was bleeding like mad. "No, come back," Su Ping called the woman. As an experienced settler, Guo Yulan heeded the alert without a second thought. She managed to stop in her tracks immediately and took a step back. She wasn't fast enough. Countless spikes abruptly emerged from the walls and the ceiling, almost instantly piercing her body all over, including her head. Her body twitched for a few seconds before completely stopping. Yi Chenshin and Luo Guxu gasped in despair as they saw their friend and teammate die in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, Old Mo and Chen quickly asked their pets to protect them. Similarly, Su Ping summoned Little Skeleton, the Purple Python and the Dark Dragon Hound to shield him. As for the Inferno Dragon, it was too big to freely move around in this cave. "Something's here." Old Mo's face went pale as he communicated with his terrestrial tracker. It's all around us." He heard the sound of blood flowing everywhere, inside the walls. He also noticed that Ni Chenkong was still breathing. Just barely. Ni Chenkong would undoubtedly die in a few minutes if first aid wasn't provided. What's that? Luo Guxu suddenly pointed at some place with a horrified look. People saw a large crater just in front of the blue tree. Large and deep. Using the bright light provided by the holy flame bird, people could only see the tip of what was buried down there. They tried to focus and looked further down below. They all froze in place due to the ghastly sight. Including Su Ping, who never expected to see such a thing. Bodies. There were countless dragon corpses. Not the typical dragons, but the slim-bodied, Jiaolong kind that had died young, telling from the little buds on their heads that had yet to grow into horns. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 182. Merely a Beast King. The corpses must have been left there a long time before because they had turned to bones already. And even the bones seemed rotten. From a quick look, Su Ping could see at least 100 bodies down in the crater, mixed with occasional human skeletons. There were also a few fresh human corpses lying on top of the pile, whose blood had yet to fully condense. Not far from them, the dead body of a silver-winged dragon was miserably slumped aside. One of its wings had been torn off, and its neck had been snapped in the middle. It had a giant hole where its heart should have been, but the heart was nowhere to be found. Su Ping felt all of his hair stand on end as if a deadly monster were right behind him, breathing against his neck. These people must have been alive a second ago. Did they sneak inside while we were dealing with the flame blood dragon? Someone asked. Everyone frowned as they all realized that they had probably been used as bait. Whoever came first would have gotten their hands on the final treasure easily. Is that tree the secret treasure, then? Both Old Mo and Chen gazed at the plant that seemed perfectly kept at its top condition. Captain, Captain, Yi Chenshin told his azure lizard to carry Ni Chenkong closer by manipulating the floor. The fruit, Ni Chenkong muttered with a weakening voice. His eyes were no longer responding to light, which meant he didn't have much in him. So he did know about the fruit beforehand. Su Ping thought. He's a lost cause. Old Mo briefly checked Ni Chenkong before saying, we should get out of here now. Before that thing gets us. We should have never come to a place where there's a thing able to kill the captain this easily. Chen quickly ordered his earthen dragon to activate all possible defensive skills. Everyone, enter the dragon's mouth. We'll make a run for it. Yi Chenshin put Ni Chenkong down with a painful look. As a settler, the agony of losing someone dear was nothing new. He managed to collect his spirit and quickly follow Chen's suggestion. It was already a miracle that Chen and Old Mo didn't leave the team behind. He should be grateful. Similarly, all the other team members recovered from their grief in time. As the earthen dragon lowered its giant head to let everyone get inside, several spikes shot out of the cave walls again. At the same time, the walls grew brightly red as if they were melting. Oh gods! Seeing this, Old Mo gave up their plan and simply told his death scythe to carry him to the exit. However, he was stopped by the large head of a dragon currently directing a deadly gaze at him, while blocking the only entrance they could use. It was a flame blood dragon. But this one was twice as big than the one they had killed. Su Ping frowned as he sensed the weak signature of a beast king coming from the target. By his experience, he could tell that this one was not an actual beast king yet. But it would soon be. Row. The dragon opened its maw and belched a fire beam at the group. Old Mo was too close to the dragon. As a desperate move, he summoned 2 8th-rank pets to act as his shield. The pets almost died instantly in the intense fire attack. Come on, together, let's break through. Chen immediately ordered the earthen dragon to apply more barriers onto its body before ramming into the cave wall. He no longer had time to wait for everyone to get on. The wall did break, but instead of an escape route, people were presented with the buried body of the flame blood dragon. Since that way was no good, the earthen dragon stomped the ground and leaped upward, creating another opening in the ceiling this time. Thankfully, the ceiling of the cave was not so tough. The earthen dragon charged through the hole and kept moving without looking back. On the ground, Luo Guxu jumped onto her holy flame bird and beckoned to Yi Chenshin and Su Ping. Come, quick. She knew Su Ping could fly by himself. Although, humans should never race against flying monsters. They simply would not win. Get out of my way. Before Su Ping and Yi Chenshin could reach the bird, Old Mo's death scythe slammed the bird aside so he could flee through the new exit first. Either intentionally or not, the death scythe sent the bird to the direction of the flame blood dragon. Luo Guxu yelped as she fell from her pet and landed inside the dragon corpse pit. On top of his death scythe, Old Mo laughed madly as he had seen the ceiling gap just within reach. However, a giant, spiked tail suddenly came into his view and came down upon him. He fell, together with his death scythe. The head of the flame blood dragon lashed out and caught the death scythe in midair. The death scythe struggled for a few seconds in vain, before its body could no longer stand the deadly grinding force of the dragon teeth and broke into 2 parts. Taking the chance, Su Ping told his purple python to open its mouth so he could climb in. Meanwhile, he used telekinesis power to drag Yi Chenshin, who had been completely frozen due to despair, along with him. As for Yi Chenshin's lizard, it would have to rely on its own. Go. Upon hearing Su Ping's order, the python charged at the ceiling, while Little Skeleton and the dark dragon hound acted as cover. The python could not fly, so it had to crawl along the burning cave wall, causing its body to smell like burnt meat. Even so, it did not slow down. Seeing its prey getting away, the flame blood dragon spat out the broken death scythe and rushed at the python. Little Skeleton put itself between the python and the dragon and raised its blade. The flame blood dragon reacted in time by coating its body under intense fire. In the end, little skeleton's bone blade only left a shallow white scar along the dragon's body. The flame blood dragon stirred as it fully moved out of the cave wall. It closed in on the purple python at full speed. Little skeleton once again tried to stop it, but its weak body of a 6th-rank astral pet was powerless against the full assault of a 9th-rank monster that almost reached the level of a beast king. Little skeleton was shattered to pieces against the dragon's ramming attack. It would need a few seconds to reassemble. The flame blood dragon had already reached its target. It bared its bloody fangs and chomped down at the python's neck. Using the exceptional fortitude he had gained from all the deadly training, Su Ping remained cool-headed as he forced his brain to work out a solution. He remembered something that might be of help. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 183. Capture. While lying inside the python's mouth, Yi Chenshin covered his head and trembled. He had completely lost it after witnessing the death of Old Mo and the 9th-rank Death Scythe. He didn't pay any attention at all when Su Ping dragged him along. Using what remained of his sanity, he sensed how Su Ping's strongest pet, little skeleton, was shattered to pieces by the coming flame blood dragon. Now he had enough reasons to give up. He could think of nothing that might help in getting him out of there alive. He saw light when the python reopened its mouth as Su Ping ordered. Something flashed past his view and reached outside. Yi Chenshin could not tell what that was. It looked like some kind of throwing weapon to him. Of course, he didn't believe that something like that would have any effect against the dragon's scales. Clang! The weapon reached the dragon's head and was bounced away. Yi Chenshin sneered in despair. He was ready to welcome his end. A miss. Su Ping frowned and lifted his arm again. Several more throwing weapons were unleashed at the flame blood dragon, which was almost on top of them. It came so close that Yi Chenshin could almost tell how many teeth the dragon had, including a human hand still clung to one of them. Old Mo's remains. Yi Chenshin closed his eyes and said his last prayer. Clang! The hot and odorous airflow suddenly vanished. Everything went quiet. Yi Chenshin waited a little longer. He wondered if he had already been sent to the afterlife. Good. There was no pain in the end. He slowly opened his eyelids, only to see the same cave again. The only thing different was the absence of the flame blood dragon. It was gone. But how? Phew. That does it. Su Ping also relaxed after their successful survival. He lifted an arm again and several objects came flying back to him. Before Yi Chenshin could see what they were, Su Ping stashed them inside his inventory space. The desperate measure he had just thought up with was not about tossing weapons at the dragon, but the middle-rank beast-catching rings he had prepared. According to the system, the strongest astral pets those rings could catch were beast kings, but with the ridiculously low successful rate of 1.25%, which meant he had to hurl hundreds of those rings at a beast king at the same time if he wanted a reliable result. Unless he was blessed with a big stroke of luck, that was. As for 9th-rank astral pets, the probability was amazingly 50%. Guess I shouldn't rely on luck unless I really have to. Su Ping showed a disappointed look. I spent 4 rings to hit that 50% chance. Damn. Nevertheless, he was alive, so everything was worth it. He looked at the ground, where another beast-catching ring was dropped, and pulled it back. Unlike the other black rings, this one was slightly glowing. And it was hot to the touch. Using his astral perception, Su Ping moved his vision inside the ring and saw a large, dark space, inside which the proud blood flame dragon was trying to shake free of several thick chains binding its body. Hey, it's almost a beast king, but not quite there yet, so the success rate doesn't change. Or I would have been in serious trouble today. Sensing Su Ping's inquiring will, the flame blood dragon struggled harder and caused the chains to almost sink inside its scales. Let me out. The dragon couldn't speak, though it somehow sent its thoughts for Su Ping to understand. And this was even better. An astral pet he could talk to sure sounded fancy. You want freedom? Answer me then, how did the astral spirit fruit get there? And what are those dead bodies in the pit? Are you like a guardian who must protect the bodies of your predecessors? Su Ping was confident that the dragon could no longer hurt him while imprisoned in the ring. It wouldn't hurt to learn something useful. Let me out. Su Ping shook his head and looked away. It seemed he had to wait for the creature to calm down first. Where's that thing? Yi Chenshin looked around the area with a dumbstruck look. Maybe it ran away. Su Ping played dumb. Ran. Why would it? Didn't it want to eat us all? Who knows? Maybe it ate something bad and really needed the toilet. Yi Chenshin was dumbfounded. Something bad. He suddenly remembered the human hand he had just seen. Of course old Mo was something bad. That old man had just tried to murder them for the sake of his own survival. Will it come back? Let's get away. Quick. Yi Chenshin anxiously scanned the area with a terrified look. Su Ping nodded and prepared to do just that. But before leaving, he had several matters to attend to. First, he jumped out of the purple python's mouth and found Luo Guxu lying unconscious inside the corpse pit. It looked like she was mostly fine. Next, he looked at the astral spirit tree. He wanted to take the tree away as a whole and perhaps replant it somewhere later, such as inside the pet shop. But this thing was at least 5 meters tall. His inventory space was not big enough to keep it. He considered for a moment and used 10,000 energy points to double the size of his inventory. This way, the tree could fit inside just fine while leaving some extra space to keep other stuff. Neither of the flame blood dragons took this fruit away. He wondered while looking at the only fruit growing on the tree. Weird. Maybe they had already consumed several fruits, and they knew that eating more was pointless to their growth. He sent some astral power to the fruit and picked it. Meanwhile, Yi Chenshin was asking his lizard to carry Luo Guxu out of the pit. He saw what Su Ping had just done, but considering how Su Ping saved him yet again, he decided not to raise any questions. The soothing smell of the glowing fruit urged Su Ping to eat it right away. Though he persuaded himself into giving up on second thought, he was going to reach the 5th rank soon. Using the fruit right then would be a huge waste. Su Ping didn't place the tree into his storage yet, for he didn't want to expose one of his secrets when Yi Chenshin was watching. He turned to the pit and jumped inside. He wanted to search the fresh human corpses for valuables while he had the chance. He was surprised to notice that one of the bodies was still warm. The body looked at him upon sensing his touch. Help, please. Su Ping checked the man's chest wound and saw the heart was still beating. But there was a main artery torn up, which was spilling blood like a fully powered water pump. This guy had managed to stay awake all thanks to his trained settler's body. Although, this would not help him live for much longer. You can give up, Su Ping said. Any last words? Such as telling your bank account password to your wife. I'm all ears. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 184. The Map. The young man. 8°4°_. When he heard Su Ping's words, the young man almost suffered from a heart attack and kicked the bucket. Admittedly, Su Ping's remark was very effective. The young man's wandering and blurred consciousness came back at once. He remembered that he did have a fiancée, and they had just gotten engaged. He was dying but he had not been intimate with his fiancée yet. The sorrow took root in his heart. Trembling, the young said to Su Ping, "Save me. I will give you anything you want." "Really? Can you make me a legendary battle pet warrior?" Su Ping asked. The young man was speechless. He himself was not a titled battle pet warrior. How could he make someone else a legendary battle pet warrior? If he had this ability, why would he risk his life in this place? This question didn't make any sense. However, since the young man was the one asking a favor, he had no choice but to say, "You can ask for anything else. Then give me 10 billion federal coins." "That's too much. I can give you 100 million. How about 109th rank pets? Then, 100 pieces of treasure. C_" Su Ping was going to propose something else. The young man felt he had lost too much blood. His head was becoming heavier and the headache was sharper. The young man tried hard to keep breathing. He interrupted Su Ping and said, "Fine, 10 billion federal coins. I will give them to you." "Oh, make the transfer then. Can you please save me now? I think I am dying here. Be confident. Remove the words, I think. You are dying, Su Ping said. You. The young man could no longer breathe. He rolled his eyes and passed away. Su Ping heaved a sigh. Anger is detrimental to life. He reached out and searched the young man's backpack, taking everything out. Apart from the food, phone and other survival equipment, there were no other precious items. Su Ping shook his head and searched for other bodies. Soon, he found another man that was faking his death. This was a middle-aged man with a strong build. But there was a huge hole on his belly. He was at his last gasp. Save me, the man said, his voice hoarse and trembling. Are you all actors? Su Ping asked. The middle-aged man. This man was still conscious. Su Ping asked, did you sneak in here when we lured the flame flood dragon away? That means that you had arrived here before us. You stayed in hiding and knew about the situation here, right? There was fear in the middle-aged man's milky eyes. He answered feebly, we just happened to be here. We didn't know that there were. It is said that people say good words on their dying beds. You were barely breathing but you were still lying. You were committed to your role. The middle-aged man curled his lips. Maybe his words stung. Or maybe his words stung. If I'm right, you have the map. Or, did you give the map to Ni Chenkong? Su Ping posed his question. The middle-aged man said nothing. He lowered his head. He knew that the chances of him being saved were slim. I checked your other deceased teammates. They weren't particularly strong but you seem to know more than Ni Chenkong did. You knew about the treasure being kept here and about the guarding beasts. But you didn't expect that another sneaky flood dragon was hiding here apart from that flame flood dragon. Your entire team was defeated before a battle even started. Su Ping looked into the man's eyes and continued, did you give the map to Ni Chenkong on purpose so that he would clear the way for you? The middle-aged man was trembling. He was barely breathing. Since, you know, why do you have to ask? Su Ping grinned. So, I was right. That is to say, you didn't explore the other sites at all. You just waited here all this time so that you could snatch the treasure when both Ni Chenkong and the Flame Flood Dragon were hurt. That is a nice plan. But I am curious about this. Where did you get the map? Assuming you used some channels for Ni Chenkong to stumble across the map, where did you get the map then? The middle-aged man was breathing heavily. His mind was disturbed. He turned away, refusing to answer the question. He was dying anyway. He wasn't in the mood to talk to Su Ping. If you answer my question, I can think about saving you. Su Ping sounded earnest. The middle-aged man turned his head back. He saw the serious look on Su Ping's face. His eyes glowed. Suddenly, he began to talk with a solemn tone. We found the information and picked up the map from an ancient hall in a space fracture. The middle-aged man revealed the answer. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He observed the middle-aged man. He seemed to be telling the truth. The space fracture where? At a Class C barren area, number 291. Su Ping knew that was a Class C area outside the Longjiang base city. No one else knew, right? Su Ping went on. The middle-aged man was very weak at the moment. Just your team and our team. Good. Can you save me now? I would, but your wound is too serious. I cannot help you even if I wanted to, Su Ping said. The middle-aged man was fuming at the mouth. He had been fooled. This possibility had crossed his mind, but since this was a matter of life and death for him, he still had some hope. It was just that the hope had vanished all too soon. His face was beet red due to anger. He stared at Su Ping and said, "You lied. I said I would save you, but I didn't say I could be successful." "I can try my best, but you will die," Su Ping replied. "You." The middle-aged man's eyes popped out. It was scary, but that was the last word he could say. He died in anger. Yi Chenshin took Luo Guxu, who had come about to see Su Ping. He witnessed how that middle-aged man died. Surprised, he asked, "Su, that man was alive?" "Yes. He was still breathing," Su Ping answered. "How about now?" "He's not." Yi Chenshin didn't know what to say. He had a general idea of what had gone wrong when he saw all those dead bodies. Their team had been fooled. "Su, shall we go now?" Yi Chenshin asked. They were the only three alive. Since Su Ping was the most powerful of them all, they had to ask for his opinion on the matter. "They seem to be from our base city as well. Do you know them?" Su Ping asked. Yi Chenshin checked. What he saw stunned him. They were from Team Poison Fang, one of the top-tier teams. "I didn't know they were here." Su Ping nodded. "You can step outside for now. I will fill up the ground in case any tracks are left behind, to save us the trouble that someone may come later and think we set up traps for those men here." Yi Chenshin agreed. Su Ping was more careful than he thought. He supported Luo Guxu with his arms and said to Su Ping, "We will wait for you outside then." "Su, be quick. Mr. Su, be careful," Luo Guxu cautioned Su Ping. She looked ghastly pale. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 185, Leaving. After Yi Chenshin and Luo Guxu went outside, Su Ping summoned his Inferno Dragon and told it to burn to ashes all the dead flood dragons and deceased explorers. Having taken care of the corpses, Su Ping placed the tree of astral spirit fruit in his storage space. He headed outside the cave. Before he left, he told the Inferno Dragon to stir up the ground and to utterly destroy the place. Luo Guxu and Yi Chenshin were waiting for Su Ping outside the cave. They saw how the Inferno Dragon and the Dark Dragon Hound wreaked havoc in the cave. The entire grotto was turned upside down. They knew that Su Ping was getting rid of all the evidence, so that no trace was left behind. "Brother Su, was the tree still inside? Did you destroy the tree as well?" Yi Chenshin was curious because Su Ping came back empty-handed. He didn't seem to have brought the tree with him. That was an astral spirit fruit tree. Su Ping didn't hide the information. Both had seen the tree. If they wanted, they could search for information when they returned. They would have found out the truth sooner or later. He thought he just might as well tell them the truth. An astral spirit fruit tree. Yi Chenshin and Luo Guxu were startled. The latter remembered something. She asked in surprise, "The astral spirit fruit, as in the one that can help people move up by one position directly?" Su Ping nodded. This came as a shock to Yi Chenshin. At the moment, he understood why Su Ping would want to destroy the tree. If they were to leave the mysterious realm with the tree, they would become the center of attention as soon as they arrived at the Dragon Heritage Place. They would surely be targeted. By then, the tree could no longer be regarded as a treasure, but a curse that could bring disaster to their lives. No wonder Su Ping wanted to destroy this place in such a thorough manner. Yi Chenshin and Luo Guxu understood that this was a must to protect their own lives. That being said, they felt sorry that such a precious tree had to be ruined. "No wonder our captain was in such a hurry," Luo Guxu mumbled. The glow in her eyes dimmed down. The thought of the deceased captain saddened Yi Chenshin. He heaved a sigh and sighed. Previously, he had also thought the captain was acting too rashly. He wanted to go into the cave without harvesting the materials from the flame flood dragon's body. Ni Chenkong must have lied to them. He knew what was being kept there. An astral spirit fruit was of too much value to Ni Chenkong. No wonder he would be so anxious and in such a rush. It was a shame that Ni Chenkong didn't obtain the fruit in the end. He had even lost his life. It all came down to nothing. We're the only 3 people who know about the astral spirit fruit. We can get into some serious trouble if we say a word about it. I hope you can keep this confidential, Su Ping said to the other 2 solemnly. Luo Guxu nodded at once. Sir, don't worry, I won't say a word. Yi Chenshin understood what Su Ping was implying. Brother Su, you have saved my life twice already. I will keep the secret. I know that speaking about the fruit will do us no good. Su Ping nodded. He called the Inferno Dragon and the little skeleton back. The Dark Dragon Hound stayed with him. He hopped onto the head of the purple python and sat down. Let's go back. Yi Chenshin felt a bit sullen since Su Ping didn't say a thing about distributing the astral spirit fruit between them, but that emotion vanished in an instant. Their entire trip had been smooth until they suffered a huge loss at the last stop. The number of casualties was great. The three of them were fortunate enough to still be alive. Being a lucky survivor, Xuanhuan was not in the mood to covet any treasures. Besides, Su Ping had saved him twice. He couldn't be jealous of him. Xuanhuan and Luo Guxu hopped onto their pets and left with Su Ping. Luo Guxu's flare bird had been severely wounded. She called it back to the contract space and summoned another 7th rank pet of the wind family to use as her means of transportation. First, they went to where the flame flood dragon had died to meet with Zhou Jing, who was guarding the place. Zhou Jing only saw 3 people, which frightened him. "Where's our captain?" Xuanhuan sighed. "Captain. Lost his life accidentally, so did old Mo and Yulan." Zhou Jing stared at him. He could not believe this. He had heard loud noises coming from that cave, including some dragon roars. The worst he had expected came to pass. "How so? What happened to you?" Zhou Jing asked in a hurry. Luo Guxu looked awful. She briefly summarized the event, leaving out the information of the tree. She just mentioned some treasure instead. Zhou Jing was astonished by Luo Guxu's account of the event. Their team had not suffered a single major loss on their way there. Almost the entire team had been eliminated at the final stop. He never thought that there could be 2 flame flood dragons, one of them being at the peak of the 9th rank. He felt his heart aching over the death of Ni Chenkong and Guo Yulan. At the same time, he was embarrassed to admit that he was a bit glad. He might have died if he had gone into the cave with the team. Team Poison Fang. How despicable. Zhou Jing clenched his teeth in hatred when he heard that someone had taken advantage of their team. The target of Zhou Jing's anger was Team Poison Fang. However, since Team Poison Fang had received a fitting punishment, Zhou Jing could only hurl out some verbal abuse to vent his anger. "Let's take care of this dead flood dragon so we can go back." Su Ping added, "The other flood dragon may come out at some point." The other 3 came back to their senses. Su Ping's reminder scared them. Xuanhuan jumped into the valley, then he took out the sword that had once belonged to old Mo, and cut off the useful parts from the flame flood dragon. Su Ping told his dark dragon hound and the purple python to have some of the flood dragon's flesh. This flood dragon was real, not an illusion. Its flesh was quite nutritious. Soon, Xuanhuan had harvested all the energy crystals, which were the most precious items in the flame flood dragon, then he climbed back up to rejoin the team. "Let's go." Zhou Jing was nervous. He had his hawk out to keep an eye on the surrounding environment at all times, in case the other flame flood dragon that Xuanhuan mentioned would jump out all of a sudden. In fact, Zhou Jing was too scared to go near the remains of the flame flood dragon. Su Ping asked the others to recall their pets and invited them to sit on the purple python's head. Then they began their journey back right away. The energy screens at the edge of each land isolated all the dragon-scale lands. Not even titled battle pet warriors could go across those energy screens. There were portals by the energy screens to teleport people back to the plaza. Su Ping steered the purple python. He knew the path well. Along the way, he avoided the locations where small groups of beasts would gather and only encountered some wandering beasts. They were teleported back to the plaza without a hitch. They heard some lively noises at the plaza. They had already arrived at the plaza when Su Ping and the others opened their eyes. They were still sitting on the purple python's head. There was some blood on the floor. Some people were discussing heatedly. They weren't the only team that had returned from the dragon-scale lands. A purple python. Someone saw Su Ping arriving. They were surprised when they noticed that Su Ping and his team were sitting on a middle-rank pet. How did they dare to explore the dragon-scale lands when their pet was of such a low rank? The other teams shifted their attention to see them as well. They disdained the team when they saw Luo Guxu injured and Xuanhuan in low spirits. A guard came over and said to Su Ping coldly, "Please put away your pet while at the plaza." Su Ping jumped down from the purple python's head. Su Ping called the purple python back after Luo Guxu and the others came down. After throwing one look to the blood on the ground, Su Ping asked, "Has there been a fight?" The guard snorted. When a team ran back, they lured a beast at the upper position of the 9th rank and followed them all the way here. Luckily enough, Venerable the Blade was here. He killed that beast with one strike. Su Ping raised his head to the sky. A powerful man was standing in the air, looking down at the crowd like a god. He's not a legendary battle pet warrior. But what he did was indeed stunning. Su Ping squinted his eyes. He looked away and said to the three people who were still frozen in astonishment. Are you going back or do you want to wander around a bit more? End of the chapter. Astral Pets Store will be read in 5 chapters for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.